166 lives, one short runway, and one decision that was never made. It's early morning in Mangalore, and Flight 812 is on its final approach. The aircraft tilts at an alarming 9-degree angle, 3 times steeper than normal, and it's flying far too fast.
Too high, too fast. We're not gonna make it.
At the end of this short runway lies a deadly cliff. The crew faces a critical moment. Abort the landing or continue? But the decision to go around is never made. Hours earlier, in Dubai, the crew prepared for the short return flight to Mangalore. At the controls was Captain Zlatko Glushika, a 55-year-old Serbian pilot with decades of experience. But he was exhausted. Having just completed a demanding trip across time zones, he was called in at the last minute to replace another captain. Beside him sat First Officer Harbinder Singh Ahluwalia, a seasoned pilot himself, who knew the challenges of landing in Mangalore. Both men were tired. Neither could have imagined the tragedy that awaited.
We are cleared to take off.
Affirmative.
In 2010, Air India Express had no strict system to check whether pilots were truly fit to fly. Instead, they relied on self-certification. On this night, fatigue would become a silent but deadly factor. Shortly after takeoff, Captain Glushika, overwhelmed by exhaustion, drifted into sleep. For most of the flight, the first officer flew the plane alone. Mangalore Airport is infamous among pilots. Built on top of a plateau, its tabletop runway is only 150 meters wide, with sheer drops on both ends. A mistake here leaves no room for recovery. To make matters worse, the airport's radar system was malfunctioning. Air traffic controllers had to track flights manually, raising the risks even further. As the Boeing 737 began its descent, the captain was still asleep, leaving the first officer to handle the workload alone. By the time they reached the 10 DME arc, a critical checkpoint, the plane was far too high for a safe landing. This should have been an unmistakable warning. But in the fatigue and pressure of the moment, the crew pressed on. The aircraft slipped into a dangerously steep 9-degree glide slope instead of the safe 3-degree angle. When the captain woke up, he immediately deployed the speed brakes to try and slow down, but they were still descending too fast and far too high. Time was running out. The cliff at the end of the runway was waiting. The first officer pleaded with the captain, "Go around, abort the landing." Pause. But the captain insisted on continuing. His fixation on landing clouded all judgment. Alarms sounded. Warnings flashed, but the aircraft kept descending. By now, the plane was moving too fast and too low to be saved by skill alone. The Boeing crossed the runway threshold at excessive speed, touching down far beyond the safe zone. It bounced once, then slammed back onto the surface. Engines roared as the captain made a desperate last-minute attempt to power up for a go-around. But the engines of a jet need time to spool, and there was no time left. The runway ended. The cliff loomed. The plane tore through the barriers, plunged off the edge, and shattered into a fiery ravine. The crash was catastrophic. Out of 166 people on board, only 8 survived, climbing out of the burning wreckage. Investigators soon uncovered the truth: pilot fatigue, ignored warnings, poor crew communication, and most tragically, the failure to execute a go-around. A single decision to abort the unstable landing could have saved almost everyone on board. Flight 812 is a chilling reminder of aviation's most important rule. Procedures exist for a reason. Fatigue, overconfidence, and poor communication turned a routine landing into a disaster. In aviation, checklists and rules are written in blood, the lessons of past tragedies meant to prevent new ones. What do you think? In moments like this, should rules always be followed no matter what? Or should the first officer have taken control and overruled the captain?